All right, now that we've made sure the microphone's working, we're going to try this again. All right, so what are we doing today? We are taking a look. This is just an anecdote. This is just me. But for any new or small YouTube channels, especially booktubers, I thought I would take a look at some analytics and see what I see. So first and foremost, I'm going to be taking a look at the Jim Butcher interview. It is one of the more popular interviews that I've had. And we're going to look a little bit at some of the analytics to see what we see. First and foremost, this came out in November of 2023, so it is over a year old. For watch time hours, some of those early views have fallen off and they don't count. So if you're looking at monetization, again, some of these aren't counting for me, but I still do get some views on this one from time to time, so it helps the overall total. There are a lot of information, a lot of pieces you can find on the analytics page. Some of these are much more interesting than others. First and foremost, let me take a look at how viewers got to this page or got to this particular video. 40% of my viewers for the Jim Butcher interview came from the browse feature. 21.5% of my viewers actually got it from YouTube search. So this is people going on YouTube and just searching. Not necessarily in that browse on the side, but just searching to see what they're specifically searching for Jim Butcher or something that came up in that interview that took them to that page. 13.5% were from suggested videos. 8% was from direct or unknown. I don't know what that means, because what I think it means, also 7.5% were from external. Now, I don't know what the difference between direct and external would be. So, I got nothing. If you guys know what that means, let me know in the comments. I got no clue. And then 9% were under the always fun others. Again, tells you nothing. Now, amongst the external sites or apps, this is I also thought was interesting. Because I don't really post anything on Reddit, but over 30% of my Jim Butcher views came from Reddit, so somebody posted about it somewhere. 20% came from Google search, makes sense. 3.7% came from Bing, who knew people still use that, and 2.4% came from Yahoo search. Definitely don't know who still uses that one. Bing might be a Microsoft certified professional. I know for a while that I was still using Bing as my default, mainly because that using Bing gets you points for Microsoft rewards, but I've pretty much given up on that. Now this part is a little bit interesting. 13.6%, I don't know where it got this number from. Okay, so this is the suggested videos. 13.6%, the breakdown on that, of that 13.6%, otherwise these numbers aren't going to make any sense. Okay, so these were content that suggested this video. I guess this is where they were coming from. 8.8% Jim Butcher New York Comic Con 2023, 6% writing fantasy and urban fantasy with Jim Butcher, and 4.7% Jim Butcher discussing what is in store for Harry Dresden. Based on a Twitter post I saw the other day, I have a feeling that, especially that the top two there, I guess a lot of people aren't talking about the Olympian Affair, and I specifically in my video was talking about that particular book and the Cinder Spires in general because I love them. And I guess obviously there's a huge amount of people covering Harry Dresden, but for those people who were looking for the Olympian Affair, again, I'm one of the fewer booktubers that covers it or has covered it. So there you go. Oh, it always helps to, I mean, obviously it's good to have some broad appeal, but also if you're covering something that not everybody else is covering, then the people who are looking for that are going to find you. Now, again, I don't have a huge amount of views compared to a lot of people. The Jim Butcher interview is one of my better ones, but it's only 1,090 views. However, because the average view duration on that one was almost 12 minutes long, that is 213 viewing hours. Again, I am a smaller channel. I am a very niche channel. I specialize in author interviews with the occasional, well, I should say it used to be occasional. Now it's actually, I have more book reviews than author interviews, but I'm still author interview first. So, you know, a lot of these videos of mine are going to be 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever. Not everybody's sitting around for all of that. I get that. not a big deal. The reason I wanted to do the Jim Butcher one specifically is because I also want to compare it to the Martha Welser one to give you some insights on stuff you should or should not do. Um, but getting even more into it, there's a couple other things I wanted to look at in the Jim Butcher one because of the fact, again, I covered some of those main stuff, but some of the smaller views that I have from there, I've got 26 views that just came from channel pages. So I'm assuming that means somebody, swinging by my page and they saw the Jim Butcher interview and they clicked on it. That has got me an average view time of about 12 minutes. Again, somebody not specifically looking for Jim Butcher, but just happened to see it was there. So 12 minutes, not bad. I've got 5 hours on that one out of that total 213. From the playlists, people say, playlists aren't good, but I've actually got quite a few views on playlists. I get 17 of those were playlist views, and they watched 14 minutes each, give or take. So that's also a good thing. Now, a couple of things I thought interesting. One, end screens. If you're not using end screens, use end screens. Did I have a lot of views? No, I don't have a lot of views on end screens. I've got 2 views where somebody saw the Jim Butcher interview on an end screen and clicked on it. However, the end screens, I'm getting almost 20 minutes per view, which is way ahead of all the other ones. So when people do click on that end screen, they watch it for a while. Do the end screens, no questions. Second one, I take like a lot of my interviews and I cut them up into shorts. The idea being that people would see a short, it's usually question and answer. I know they've expanded shorts now, but I still stick to that 60 seconds. People will occasionally click on that main video from the short because, again, when you edit it down to a minute, you can make it very, very much more interesting than a long 3, 4, 5 minute answer. But it does come with an issue. I've only got 18 views on the Jim Butcher interview that came from shorts, which, it's still 18 people that wouldn't have seen it otherwise. However, they're averaging less than 2 minutes per view. Now, maybe they'll come back to something later, but on that specific click, and here I think is the disconnect, people who watch shorts are watching it on their phone. And they're used to seeing stuff in 30 to 60 second bits. People who watch my main stuff, most of them who are watching the long interviews are watching them either on their computer or their TV. And so these are people that aren't normally watching shorts in the first place. Yes, there is some overlap between shorts and long form video, but people usually watch those in 2 different places. So the clicking on shorts to get to the long form video isn't going to get you a ton of views. It's gotten me a few subscribers over the years, but it's not getting me a ton of views. Just throwing that out there. I'm still going to do the shorts because, like I said, again, that's 18 more views than it would have gotten. But out of 1,090, the percentage is super, super small. Basically, shorts gives me something to post during the week on times that I don't have a full-length video to put out. It just kind of keeps me relevant more than it actually brings me viewers to the author interviews, which is my bread and butter. The other interesting thing about that, so again, I said 18 shorts views. So let me look at one of the biggest shorts that I've got. Probably my biggest author-related short one I have is a Jim Butcher one. It's got 736 views total. And of course, the life of a short is a little, although surprisingly, people still keep coming to that one. The first 2 days, it only had 154 views. At 80 days, it was 218, 160 days, 342, 240 days, almost 500, 320 days. I mean, it's almost a straight line up. There are still people finding this stupid short. I posted it November 11th, 2023. And I mean, that's not a huge amount of time, but you think about it, and I got 736 views in about 500. It's still getting like a view a day. One a day. Everybody sees this stupid short that's out there. I don't know where they're finding it. I'm assuming they have to be searching something, but it's still getting views. It's not going to go viral at this. I doubt it's going to go viral. it's not going to get me monetized. You need like what, how many million shorts views in like 90 days or something. But it still keeps bringing people to my channel. So I'm not saying shorts aren't worth it. I'm just saying lower your expectations for what shorts are going to bring. Just know that they're not completely useless. That's all I'm saying on that one. So why did I want to compare that to the Martha Wells interview? The Martha Wells interview is an hour and 13 minutes long. I know the Jim Butcher one was a little shorter because at the time, and actually I might have still been doing this for the Martha Wells one too. The Jim Butcher interview was back when I was just doing these live on Twitch and then uploading an edited version to YouTube. So there's a lot of some of the older videos, again, they're a little bit shorter than the actual time they took because I got to cut out all the ums and ahs and all that other good stuff. So they're a little bit shorter than maybe some of the newer ones. But this Martha Wells one actually did go a little bit longer. The main thing I want to show you about this is if you were thinking about YouTube advertising, and I did try it, remember, YouTube advertising does not count at all for your view time hours. Anybody who watches a video from a YouTube advertisement link does not count. They could watch the entire video and none of those hours count. However, I'm going to tell you, at least as a booktuber, why it's not worth it. If you're trying to sell a product, I think it's totally worth it. If you're trying to get views, it's not worth it. Now, the Martha Wells one, from the time I did the advertisement, she'd added 3 subscribers in the first 2 years, first year and a half, just from the video. And also there was 297 views that first year and a half. Watch time hours, and the watch time hours weren't bad, 74, almost 75 hours of watch time. So most of the people that were watching a pretty good chunk of it. I did the advertisement, just did it for a month. I did it on the cheap. I didn't blow a lot of money on this. So a lot of these views, are also going to be not in the U.S. because the U.S. is the most expensive place to advertise. So it eats up the money quickly. Now, it did double the watch time. However, remember that none of those hours actually counted, but I did jump from about 75 to 153 hours during that month. And since that advertisement has ended, I've added another like 5 hours to it. What it did do, though, like I said, it did jump me from 3 subscribers to it added 80. Nobody else has been added from that video since then, but it did give me a ton of subscribers. Now, I have a feeling a lot of those subscribers were in some of those smaller countries, and they probably don't watch me on a regular basis. But they are there. Subscriber count still counts. Doesn't matter. I'm so far over 1,000 subscribers, it's not even funny. So if you're looking to add some subscribers, yes, that will work. But I would only use it if your subscriber count is low. I would not use it to boost your watch hours. Because again, all those watch hours didn't count. And B, and this is the fun part, I doubled the watch hours, but the views went from about 300 to over almost 14,000. That's not a lot of hours per view. So people who see it as an ad, they may see it and they may not click away right away, so it still counts as a view, but it's not going to add a lot of time. In fact, once that kicked in, it kind of killed that video. So let that be a word of warning. I would not do it again. If I was going to do it for anything, I might do it for my channel trailer, simply because A, that's never going to monetize anyhow. It's got music in it. B, it's never going to get 4,000 watch hours. It's a channel trailer. It's like a minute and a half. But C, it does show all of the author interviews I had done up through the last one, which was John Scalzi. Obviously, I'm not going to make a new channel trailer every time I add a new author, but maybe, at the end of the year, I might put up another one when I've got some more names on there. But as for right now, again, that channel trailer, I'm not worried about monetizing the channel trailer, and I'm not worried about how long people watch the channel trailer, but if that gets them to watch a author video that they see in the channel trailer, that might be worth it. But if you're a smaller channel, don't use the YouTube, especially if you're a newer channel, because you obviously don't have anything in a channel trailer, something to excite people about. Wait till you've got a body of work. Again, I'm not telling anybody to use the YouTube advertising. I'm just letting you know what happened with me. All right, this is probably going to show in as a weird cut, but I forgot to talk about this. I talked about this on the first video when the mic wasn't working. So I'm going to sneak this in somewhere just to confuse people. One thing I did want to mention is the fact that a lot of people don't give a lot of respect to book reviews. So some of you it's working really well for, some of it's not. Again, I think it depends on how big you are. I think the bigger the channel, the less as a percentage your book reviews get. But as a smaller channel, one of the things that I've noticed is you never know what's going to click. So for instance, if I look at the last 48 hours on my channel, the number one watch video right now is my book review of When the Moon Hits Your Eye by John Scalzi. That did come out last week, so it's relatively new, even though it wasn't up in the last 2 days. The third is Booking Forward, which just actually is not even 2 days old. So that one would make sense. That's when I look forward to all the books I'm looking forward to in March. But right in the middle is actually my interview from back in December, which was 'Tis the Season to Chat with Richard Paul Evans. Again, first of all, that's not normally my genre. On here, I do a lot of fantasy, I do a lot of sci-fi, I do a lot of horror. I mix in a little mystery here and there, but yeah, I hadn't really done a whole lot of, let's face it, Christmas in Bethel is probably going to be, solid romance. It's, there's a reason you see a lot of Richard Paul Evans movies made into Hallmark, or books made into Hallmark movies. But so it's a little bit outside what I would normally do, but it is doing decently well, and people are still watching it even now. The other one, and it's not on the last 3 months, but the ones that are surprisingly well for me, is occasionally I will get a book review on a book, that I got to read early. So if you're a booktuber and you're not getting a whole lot of arcs, check out the video I did about how to get books on the cheap, because I do cover some things like BookFunnel, NetGalley, etc. and so forth, some places that you can get books early. Because mainly the ones that have done really well for me, and I remember one of them right off the top of my head is The Courting of Bristol Keats. Now that one, since I published it in October of last year, it's got 253 views. Again, if you've got 100,000 subscribers, that's diddly squat. That's not going to sound like much. But if you're a newer or smaller YouTuber, for me, that's getting as many views as some of my author interviews. So it's doing pretty good. It's gotten me a few subscribers. It's gotten me a little chunk of watch time. Why is Courting of Bristol Keats doing so well for me as a booktuber? It's one of those things where it is still to this day, it's just like a straight line going up. It didn't spike in viewership, so it's not like it got discovered, but it's just kind of a straight arrow going across. One, I got this early. And so if I go into the reach department on this one, 82.2% of my views on The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary Pearson are YouTube searches. People were specifically looking for this. As a person who dropped the review early, for a long time, I was one of the few people out. And now, because I got that early start, when people look for that one, I'm probably, even though other people may have done that since then, I probably still had the most views early. So I'm kind of at the top of that list. So I'm still getting views on that in March, even though I did it back in October. So that early in helps. I think I had the same thing. I did Graveyard Shift by Emma Rio. That was an arc that I did a review on. That one's constantly getting me views. Another big one that did really well for me was Breath of the Dragon by Shannon and Fonda Lee. It's only got 179 views. One of the problems I had with this one is I actually think I reviewed it too early because I got to read it like 6 months before the book came out. There wasn't a whole lot of hype. Yeah, because I did that review back in August, and that book didn't come out till January, August, September, October, November, December, January. So 5 months. I was close. You know what I meant. It was there. So 5 months before it came out, which was a little early. And it only had, let's say, after about 3 months on, it only had 27 views. And then this one spiked a little bit. By the time we got to day 160 or so, it was up to 140. And now it's at 160, which is only about the 200-day mark. So this one is spiked a little bit and is still kind of growing. Again, not a huge chunk of views, no subscribers from this one, but it has added 6 hours to my watch time. Yes, that doesn't seem like a lot when you have to have 4,000 watch hours to monetize, but I got 6 hours for that. I got 7 hours for, like I said, the According to Bristol Keats, which is romantasy, which is not normally my genre. The Graveyard Shift. So Graveyard Shift, that one's got me 386 views, almost 14 hours of watch time, and another subscriber. That one's another one that's very constant. It's getting new views every day. 160 days in, 386 views, so it's getting more than 2 views a day. It's gotten 3 views in the last 48 hours, and that came out in September. So, for the people who don't like book reviews or don't think they do well on their channel, well, A, congratulations, because that means you got something else doing really, really, really well. But B, I just started recently doing the video reviews, so I've got maybe 50 of them up on the book reviews. And not all of them are doing this good, but if they're all doing like 4 or 5 hours of watch time, then, 5 hours at 50 is, 250 hours. That's a chunk. It's not going to get me to that 4,000, but it's certainly going to help. That's 250 hours I don't need to get from an author interview or a video like this where I'm giving, maybe some suggestions or, top 10s or any of that other stuff, book calls, you name it. All of that stuff adds up. So if you listen to some of the big guys, and again, as a percentage, book reviews probably aren't doing them a lot of good, and they've already monetized. So they're looking at, what's the biggest bang for the buck, not necessarily what helps me get there. Book reviews will help you get there. After you get there, it's much more, I feel like a lot of the book reviews are better. They're like the more high quality ones. Why should you read this book? I think John Minton, Mike from Mike's Book Reviews and stuff like that, they don't do a ton of book reviews, but the ones that they do are are done very well. As to where me, I just kind of throw out my thoughts. I get them out there. And, in some cases like these, I get them out there first, and that's helping. So just want to throw that out there. Book reviews are worth it, especially in the short term while you're trying to get to that 4,000, if monetization is what you're looking for. If you're not worried about monetization, just do whatever you like. I mean, if you're not worried about monetization, you're probably not even watching this video. So take that for what it's will. And then, I'm going to let you drop back into whatever part of the video I stuffed this in. Shorts are not completely useless. Just have tempered expectations and understand what they will work for and what they will not work for. Again, some people have shorts that that's what they do. So if you're a shorts channel, obviously shorts are great. If you are a shorts channel that's pointing to a different type of long form video that might work, I don't know what that might be, but it might work, then, go for it. For some people, I think shorts are almost like a free advertising. You're going to catch people in the shorts that might be able to show them something that they're going to see. Now, me as a booktuber, the shorts videos are not necessarily bringing over a huge amount of people, but they are bringing some. And again, just because on the shorts, only 18 people clicked on that Jim Butcher video, and they didn't watch an entire, a lot of it. Doesn't mean that they don't come back to it later, or they don't look at another video once they get there. So, but again, tempered expectations. It does have some uses. I just wouldn't go all in on it, and I wouldn't be upset. You're going to see higher view numbers a lot of times on your shorts, at least in the, no pun intended, in the short term. And I do have the one, for instance, like the Jim Butcher cat video one. It's there's not a cat in it, but it's just Jim Butcher gives the best cat answer ever. If you've seen the short or you want to go watch the short, it's in there. And that one still gets me, like I said, gets me a view like every day. Somebody is always seeing that stupid video. Most of my shorts don't have long-term evergreen, whatever they want to call it, reach like that does. So that one's a little bit of an outlier for me. Most of your shorts are seen that day and then nobody ever sees them again. They do have a use. Just temper your expectations. That's all I'm saying. And then B, like I said, on the advertising itself, I would say it's not worth it. If you've got your 4,000 watch hours and for whatever reason you can't get over the subscriber hump, maybe it's worth it just to get that extra little push, but it's probably not worth it. Downside is a lot of subscribers. I've got a lot of subscribers, either from the advertising, like I said, or B, I did have some gaming content on here before, previously with shorts. That got me a lot of subscribers that aren't staying for the Booktube content, and I have unlisted all my gaming content, except for I did have a charity stream not too long ago with Wizard 101 that was for a hospital. That I kind of left up there. But I don't do the gaming content anymore. This is a Booktube content channel, author interviews, book reviews, the occasional book news. That's what I'm here about. So advertising, probably. If you're a booktuber, probably not worth it. If you do use it, just be warned, and don't blow the bank on it. It's not going to get you a ton of support. It will get you some. It will give you a bump. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to give you a huge bump. And the people that watch it from the advertising don't count for your watch hours. So if you're looking for the watch hours, it is not the way to go. It will ruin it. In fact, just to show you what I'm talking about, with that advertising, the Martha Wells viewership ended up being 97.5% of my reach, or of my views, 1% external, 0.4% was YouTube search, 0.4% was director unknown. Now the actual numbers are probably not, actual number of views aren't too far off from the Jim Butcher interview. It's just that I didn't put any advertising on there, so the advertising really skews the numbers. And of the 13,595 people who watched that video from the advertising, they averaged 20 seconds. I mean, yes, it got me 77 hours, and if those 77 hours counted towards my watch hours, it might be worth it. But it doesn't. So it didn't. Anyhow, you know what I'm saying. Hope that gives you at least a little bit of insight. Again, I would not tell you not to use shorts. Learn from some of the mistakes I've made. I tried out the YouTube advertising. My book, not worth it. Even if you only spend $10, still not worth it. And for the shorts, again, some use. It's not going to be a game changer. But if you're getting close and every little bump helps, use it with some discretion, use it wisely, and probably don't check the analytics every day, because it's other than that first day, it's not going to have the giant push that you're probably hoping for. All right. Looks like the microphone worked this time. For some reason, it was no longer pointing to, there was a microphone in OBS, but it wasn't pointing to the Elgato microphone. And since I had that on one screen and I'm looking at this screen so I could see all my analytics, I didn't realize that until I went to edit the video. Much much sadness. That's the other thing. Let's say learn from my mistakes. Check to make sure your little microphone is going up and down when you're talking first. And then you can always cut off that front, then start doing it. All right. Happy reading, happy posting, and I will catch you later.